Okay.
We'll be exploring not just what they mean, but why they matter.
Right.
So, I've always been a bit confused by this whole idiom thing. What exactly are they?
Well, in the simplest terms, an idiom is a phrase where the meaning, it's not obvious from the individual words.
Okay.
Like it's like a secret code or something.
Okay. So it's not like I can just look up each word in the dictionary and figure it out.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Got it. Can you give me an example, something I might, hear in everyday conversation?
Sure. Imagine you're telling me about a project you just finished, and you say, it was a piece of cake.
Okay.
Now, we both know you weren't actually baking.
Right. Yeah.
You're using an idiom to tell me the project was easy. No sweat.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
So it's like using a metaphor, but in a more compact way.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess that's why they're so powerful.
Exactly.
They can convey a complex idea or feeling in a very short and memorable way.
Yes.
But why are they so important? I mean, can't we just communicate using plain, literal language?
Well, you could.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about it this way. Idioms add color and depth to our language.
Okay.
It allows us to express ourselves
Yeah.
in a more nuanced way, more engaging way. And plus, if you can understand idioms, that's really key to connecting with native English speakers.
Yeah, for sure. It's like they're part of the cultural fabric. They're kind of woven into the way people express themselves.
Exactly, precisely. And that's why, learning idioms isn't just about improving your vocabulary. It's about gaining a deeper understanding of the culture, the people.
It's like unlocking, a secret level of fluency or something. Not just sounding like a native speaker, but actually thinking like one.
That's right.
Now, before we dive into specific examples, I'm curious about something.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we even use idioms in the first place? What's the point of these kind of cryptic expressions?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
There are actually a few reasons why idioms are so prevalent in language.
Okay.
One theory is that they offer kind of a shortcut to expressing, complex ideas or emotions.
Okay.
Instead of using a whole sentence to describe feeling happy, we can just say over the moon.
Right.
And everyone instantly gets the picture.
It's like a code word that everyone understands.
Yeah, exactly.
But a code word with a history, a story behind it, right?
Right.
Speaking of stories, I'm guessing some of these idioms have pretty interesting origins.
Absolutely. A lot of idioms have fascinating backstories that reveal a lot about the history and culture of English-speaking countries.
Okay.
Take, for instance, school of beans, for example.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I use that one all the time, but I never actually thought about where it came from.
Well, believe it or not, it's believed to have originated in ancient Greece.
Wow.
They used beans for voting back then.
Oh.
So dropping a bean into a certain container meant casting your vote.
Wow.
So spilling the beans, could literally reveal the outcome of an election before it was officially announced.
That's amazing. I had no idea. It's like each idiom is like a little window into the past.
Exactly. And that's what makes them so fun to explore, right?
Yeah.
You never know what kind of historical or cultural nuggets you'll uncover.
Okay, I'm officially hooked. Let's break down some of these common idioms and see what secrets they hold.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so we've talked about how awesome idioms are, like these little linguistic time capsules.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I feel a bit intimidated by them.
Okay.
Like, how do I know when it's appropriate to use an idiom?
Right.
And how can I be sure I'm not using them incorrectly?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And then end up sounding awkward.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, using idioms effectively,
Yeah.
it's all about, understanding the context.
Right.
And finding the right balance.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to use a very casual idiom in a formal setting.
Right. Like, I probably wouldn't tell my boss that a really challenging project was a piece of cake, even if it was.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the flip side, you wouldn't want to use really formal language when you're just chatting with friends.
Yeah. So context is key. Are there any other tips you can share for using idioms, like a pro?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing to keep in mind is to avoid overuse.
Okay.
Sprinkling in a few idioms here and there, that can add a little spice to your conversation.
Right.
But too many at once can be a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, it's like adding seasoning to a dish. A little bit enhances the flavor, but too much can ruin the whole thing.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks. So, moderation is key. Any other words of wisdom for our, aspiring idiom enthusiasts out there.
Well, one of the best ways to learn idioms is to just pay attention to how native speakers use them. In conversation, movies, books, even songs.
Okay.
You'll start to notice patterns and get a feel for which idioms are common
Right.
and in what situations they're used.
It's like immersing yourself in the culture and just like absorbing it through osmosis or something.
That's it. And don't be afraid to ask questions either.
Okay.
If you hear an idiom you don't understand, just ask someone to explain it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Most native speakers will be happy to share their knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and even like tell you the story behind the idiom.
It's like having a personal language guide.
Exactly, precisely. And the more you expose yourself to idioms, the more you'll start to internalize them and use them more naturally.
All right, I'm feeling more confident already. But how about we put our knowledge to the test?
Oh, right.
I'm ready for a challenge.
Yeah.
How about we try and decode some idioms together?
I was hoping you'd say that. I have a few tricky ones up my sleeve just waiting to be deciphered.
Okay.
Are you ready to put on your detective hat? See if we can crack the code?
Bring it on! I'm feeling like the Sherlock Holmes of the idiom world right now.
All right, then. Let's start with this one. Okay. Imagine you're working on a difficult puzzle
Okay.
and you finally figure out the solution. You might say, aha, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Now the penny has dropped. What do you think that idiom means?
The penny has dropped. Okay. Well, we know it's a good thing because you finally solved the puzzle. So I'm guessing it means something like, like suddenly understanding something
Okay.
or like having a moment of realization.
You nailed it. That's exactly what it means. The penny has dropped is a way of saying that something's finally become clear
Yeah.
or that, you've suddenly understood something that was previously confusing.
Okay. Score 1 for the idiom detective.
Okay. All right. I've got another one. Here's a scenario for you.
Okay.
You're about to go on a big adventure, maybe a trip around the world
Mm-hmm.
or starting a new business. You might tell your friends, I'm ready to take the plunge.
Okay.
What do you think take the plunge means in this context?
Ooh, take the plunge. Well, it sounds like a big decision,
Uh-huh.
something that requires like courage and a sense of adventure.
Right.
So I'm going to guess it means something like to commit to something wholeheartedly
Okay.
or to take a bold step.
You are on fire. You crack the code again.
Yeah.
Take the plunge does indeed mean to make a bold decision.
Okay.
To commit to something, even though it might be, a bit risky or uncertain.
This is so much fun. I feel like I'm like unlocking a secret language. Yeah.
Okay, give me one more challenge.
Yeah, last one. Let's say you're feeling really tired after a long day.
Okay.
Instead of just saying I'm tired, you might say I'm ready to hit the hay.
Okay.
What do you think hit the hay means?
Hit the hay. That one paints like a funny picture in my mind. I'm imagining someone like literally hitting a pile of hay with a stick or something.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it has a more, figurative meaning. I'm thinking it means something like to go to bed or to go to sleep.
You're 3 for 3. Hit the hay is indeed a common idiom for going to bed.
Yes, I'm on a roll. I'm starting to feel like I could speak English entirely in idioms.
Maybe not entirely.
Okay.
But you're definitely getting the hang of it.
Yeah.
Remember, the key is to just keep practicing,
Okay.
keep exploring, and don't be afraid to have fun with it.
Okay, I like that.
The world of idioms is vast and full of surprises. It's interesting, we've been looking at idioms as like these cultural artifacts, but I think they actually say a lot about how our brains work too.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, like, why do you think we are drawn to these figurative expressions? What makes idioms so memorable, What makes them stick in our minds?
That's a really good point. One theory is that it goes back to our love of storytelling.
Okay.
They create these really vivid images, almost like little mini narratives in our heads.
Yeah.
And that makes them so much more memorable than, just plain literal language.
Yeah, it's true. Like, it's almost like our brains are wired for stories.
Mm-hmm.
And idioms are like these bite-sized stories that are easy to grasp and then remember.
Right. And think about how many idioms use animals or everyday objects.
Yeah.
Let the cat out of the bag,
Right.
spill the beans, hold your horses.
Face a cake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All these concrete images, they make these abstract ideas more tangible. more relatable.
It's like giving our thoughts like a physical form or something.
Yes, exactly. Another fascinating thing is how idioms often reflect shared cultural values
Right.
or beliefs.
Right.
Like, for example, bite the bullet.
Okay.
That suggests a culture that really values courage, resilience when you're facing hardship.
So it's like by learning these idioms, we're not just learning new words, we're also getting a peek into, the cultural psyche.
Precisely. And maybe that's why idioms are so powerful for communication. They tap into this shared understanding.
Yeah.
It's almost like a cultural shorthand
Okay.
that helps us connect on a deeper level.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. It's like all these phrases that seem so simple on the surface are like actually packed with all this meaning, this cultural significance.
Exactly. And that's what makes exploring idioms so rewarding, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's like you're peeling back the layers of a language, and then you discover like this rich tapestry of human experience that's woven within it.
I love that. This has been such a fascinating deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for, for the power of these idioms, the beauty of them.
Well, it's been a pleasure exploring the world of idioms with you.
Yeah, it's been great.
Remember, language is this living, breathing thing, and idioms are proof of its creativity and evolution.
Well, before we wrap things up, I want to encourage all our listeners to really embrace this world of idioms.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to, experiment, make mistakes, have fun with it.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe you'll even invent your own idiom someday.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, keep those linguistic gears turning, everybody.
Introducing the Nibab Home Lift. Experience the future of convenience.